Peace and abundance always. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Peter Abundant, aka Dr. Abundant, and I have about 30 years of experience with spirituality, metaphysical sciences. I have a PhD in metaphysical sciences, which is ultimately the study of spirituality. And I'm also an ordained minister in metaphysical sciences. My objective is really to support you in understanding who you truly are, tapping into your divinity, tapping into the God within you, and recognizing that you are the creator of your reality, the creator of your universe. So today I want to share with you a special message and also make some announcements, let you know some updates, things that are going on, things that I'm happy about, accomplishments, thanks to you, of course. So let's get right into it. Before I get into that, if you're new to the channel, let me just kind of give you my story and tell you essentially where I came from, my journey, and basically what led me here. So during my high school years, I had a curiosity about God and trying to get closer to God. And at the time, the only way I knew how to do that was through religion. I grew up a Methodist Christian. We went to church once in a while. It wasn't like it was a consistent religious thing, but we identified with Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. And I had a lot of questions, of course, but like many people who are just brought up in that religious belief, in that tradition, they, when asking questions, if they decide to do so, because most of us just take it, we accept it, and we decide that is our belief system, and our reality is based on that. This is, again, it gets into the power of belief and recognizing that you get to choose what you believe. You don't just get to believe and just think that that is it, right? There's another level of power that you have with deciding your belief system. And then it is your ability to put that focus, to direct your consciousness by way of going through, right? By looking through the lens of that belief system, do you create your reality? And your reality is created that way. It is validated. It is confirmed, right? That's how powerful you are. The belief that you decide, right? The power of your belief is the thing that backs and gives power to that belief. A lot of people think that it is the belief system that is the thing working, but it's actually your belief in the belief system that makes it work. So anyway, back to me, right? I decided to go deeper into understanding what religion resonates with me because at the time, traditional Christianity just didn't. So, I decided, okay, let me go deeper into it. I inquired and went down the rabbit hole of looking into different religions like Islam, other forms of Christianity, Seventh-day Adventists, Baha'ism, Buddhism, which eventually led me to understanding metaphysics as the overall umbrella of all spirituality and recognizing that thought, consciousness is actually the thing that ties it all together, right? When you go deep into studying these religions, you start to see that they generally say the same thing, right? So when you get into going deeper into that broad connection, then you recognize, okay, there is something even deeper being said underneath all of the messages. You have people who read the Bible and they read it at a very superficial level, right? They take everything literal. Whereas for me, I recognize that there were some things that I saw that were taught to me, that I picked up, that I had questions about, that were ultimately the universe channeling this wisdom through me and giving me the tools to actually start to make sure that this trajectory I was going, this path I was going on was one of not looking at things literal, not just being somebody who is superficial with spirituality or religion or knowledge, but going deeper into it. For example, when, I was told God is everywhere, I accepted that and I believed that and that makes sense to me. But the one thing I did was I went further with that thought pattern. And okay, God is everywhere. So that means God is literally everywhere in everything. Therefore, we should be treating everything, everyone as God. That's the way I saw it. But more importantly, going even deeper into that statement, recognizing that if God is everywhere, God is you as well and within you as well. And then I recognize over the course of studying and going deeper into metaphysical sciences and spirituality that for me, God being within me, God being me, that is how I ultimately connect with the totality, right? The grand consciousness, the overall ultimate creator of all of this, you see? So there is many layers to what you study, what you read in the Bible, what you read in the Quran, what you read in all of your sacred texts that tell you something depending on the level of consciousness that you're at, depending on your frequency. You see, so if you're on a frequency of a beginner, then you're going to just simply read the words and think that these words, and as they are stated, is it. But then as you continue to read them over and over and over again, right, you start to go deeper into, truth and, divine meanings, wisdom on a whole nother level. So anyway, long story short, got into metaphysics, got certified as a hypnotist, attended a school to get my PhD in metaphysical sciences, and committed to this life of supporting and educating people such as yourself toward really tapping into that power and really understanding who you are. That is my mission. So if you want to join, if you want to be a part of this journey consciously, rather than just roaming around, wondering what's going on, dibbling and dabbling into certain things, recognizing that, well, maybe this is it. Maybe that's it. Maybe this is the thing that's going to create fulfillment in my life. Maybe this path is, maybe this book will. I will give you some just support. I'm not one to say that my way is the way. There is no one way. And that's the most important thing to understand. If there is a one way, the one way is you, through you. Recognizing that anything that you see and resonates with you, do not put your power into that thing, thinking that it is that thing that is creating the fulfillment, that is creating the joy, that is making, life work and align for you. It is you that is doing it. Yes, that thing is a tool for you, but do not put your power into that tool in a way that you identify that tool as a thing that is making, amazing miracles happen, right? It is you. And that's the one thing I would say is fundamental on all religious paths, all spiritual paths, is that you are the one, okay? You are the one creating this. And that's the one thing you get from this video, from me. Please take that. And not to say you need to believe it and consume it wholeheartedly, but let it sit in your mind and think about it. When you're spending time with yourself and you're contemplating and you're thinking about the world and where you are and who you are, let that be a part of the contemplation. Let that be a part of the wonder, okay? So, all right, let's get into announcements really quickly. So first thing is I was finally monetized on YouTube. Yay, I'm grateful for that. That's an accomplishment, even though that's not why I do it. But I was telling my son just yesterday, when you put in effort, when you are consistent, and this is a reference to video games because he plays video games and he's, I was there too. I played video games. I was really into video games. And so, most kids, they're into video games, and you have to find what things you want to instill in them, how it relates to what they're into now. And so he's into video games, and that's cool. And so I was telling him, hey, I got monetized. I got some things opened up in my YouTube channel. And he was like, oh, wow, that's cool, right? And so I told him, I said, listen, life is like a video game. When you are consistent, just like a video game, you may start the game and you have nothing, right? You have no armor, battle armor, you have no weapons, you have no tools. You have to play the game and start accumulating all these things. You start to level up, right? And then you get to a point where you've amassed all the skills, the levels, the tools, right? The armor, the special powers to help you to finally beat that final boss, okay, or beat the game. Nowadays, their games have no ending to it. That I don't like, and that's what I appreciate about my generation is like we had a completion of the story. There is like an ongoing thing, which I guess in reality of spirituality, that is truth, right? There's truth to that. So, I told him, listen, we're on I got to a point where I got monetized finally. And, everybody's different in their journey. That's another spiritual understanding you must really accept. When you go through whatever journey you're going through and you're looking for, a community, tribe, you're looking for maybe mentors, you're looking for teachers, you're looking for information. And there are people like you who are into the same thing you are, and they may have started earlier than you have. You have to acknowledge that that is their journey, and you just need to absorb and take any information that is useful to you where you're at, right? So, some people can start a YouTube channel, they can start a journey, and it can immediately take off. Some people, it takes time, it takes years, even though you put in way more work. You have to understand that that is okay. You have to understand that them being successful faster than you are has nothing to do with you. You just have to focus on you. And so with having, say, a YouTube channel such as this one, it took time. It takes time. It takes effort. I put videos out every day almost. And so though my video doesn't get 100,000 views, right, or thousands of views, right, as soon as they're published, that is okay with me. Now, over time, I know that those things will be a result of me being consistent and me putting out the best content, the best information that I can put out, right? So it took about 1.5 years for me to finally get monetized. And that's great. So I told him, I said, listen, I got monetized. I'm leveling up, right? And he's like, okay, I get it. I'm like, you got to understand that with life, it's the same thing as video games. The more effort you put in, the more work you put in, the more time you put into the video game, into the game. Leveling up is just a part of it. It will happen. It's, you can acknowledge those times when you get frustrated, you get a little worried, you start doubting yourself, you start like getting frustrated and annoyed. But as long as you are consistent, the leveling up is inevitable. It will happen. Okay. So whatever it is that you're up to, that you're doing, be consistent, stay focused. Even though you may have your ego in your mind saying, oh, it's not going to work, maybe this isn't for me, stay focused. Okay. It will happen. As long as you're focused, as long as you're consistent, it will happen. So that is the first announcement, that I was monetized. With that monetization comes the ability to sell merch, okay? Sell things like t-shirts, hoodies on or via the YouTube channel. So I was like, okay, I didn't know how long it would take for me to set that whole thing up. I was like, because the monetization was like, okay, cool. They unlocked it. It's like, all right, I'm not getting that many views anyway. So it's not like I don't have to rush to actually set everything up. But I had a moment, and I said, let me do some research on opening up this shop. What is this like? And it was actually very simple for me. It was something I was somewhat familiar with the store. And so set it up. I got 2 shirts available. You can check it out at the bottom of this video, okay? And I ordered them myself. I can't wait to get them. You have options of colors that you can switch them up with. The design will stay the same, but the colors of the shirts you want will actually differ depending on your personal preference. So I am happy about that. I'm excited, not only for you, but I'm excited for myself, because I'm excited to get the shirts. I'm like, oh, these are cool shirts that I just designed, and I was just inspired and saw things, had references, and I designed these things, and I was like, okay, this would be cool. This would be a perfect fit for the channel, for the brand, and I'm excited about that. So those are the 2 announcements that I want to make today. Third thing is the next book I have coming out. I'm working on next week. The next series I'm working on for the channel. If you've been following me, if you just started, what I've been doing now, instead of making one-off videos, What I'm doing now is the videos are basically a part of a series. And so usually the last month or two has been 1 week has been a series, right? So 5 videos, 5-part series. I take that basically helps me to create a book. And then I will put that book on Amazon and, sell that book. Now, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to not just do a theme for 1 week. It's going to be a 2-week theme. And I'm going to experiment with that this coming weeks. And it's going to be in relationship to the topic of spirituality, not religion. Okay. And really going into the journey of being somebody who was once religious and basically having to accept the belief systems that were given to us as children and how to naturally take the journey into spirituality. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that in order to be spiritual, you cannot be religious. You see, that is the trick. We often think it's one or the other. For some reason, the world has been shattered in a way that we think it's one or the other. But in reality, life is all things, right? Because if you want to define and say what is religion, it can be looked at as a consistent practice of doing something that resonates with you and connects with your soul and allows you to connect deeper with God, right? So that can be anything. To me, a religion can be running, right? I run religiously. I work out religiously. Sometimes I fall short, right? So sometimes I sin, right? I miss the mark. So you have to understand that religion can be looked at as something literal and traditional, but it also can be looked at as something more figurative, symbolic, in the sense that it is just a ritual that you practice in order for you to feel a deeper connection with self, the deeper aspect of yourself, right? So we're gonna, dive deep into that these next 2 weeks, okay? So I'm looking forward to that. I'm really excited about it. It's gonna be a good one. So make sure you stay tuned and you watch, okay? Now, what else? Oh, all right, so here's the message for today. We're talking about spirituality. And I was thinking about the importance of recognizing a spiritual teacher in your life. Now, this is not something, this may seem weird because I consider myself a spiritual teacher, but I am not trying to say you need to pick me as your spiritual teacher or you need to pick anybody as your spiritual teacher. But what I want to say is, one, the most important, the most profound, the best spiritual teacher there is in the universe, period, is the universe. Or you can even say is nature. If you surround yourself and you put yourself in environments that are natural, nature, trees, forests, parks, lakes, rivers, the ocean, the beach, taking hikes in mountains, what have you, those things will allow you to tap into another level of consciousness, right? To tap into another level of wisdom, insight that will open you up to a lot. Now, you have to have an open mind to what it is that you receive and not judge what you start to think, right? Or what you start to become aware of. That is the issue with people not trusting in themselves, right? They feel like they need to have somebody to tell them what it is or what to do. Now, there is something to be said about that in a way that is positive, but we need to have ultimately more trust in ourselves and our own intuition and our own spirit. So what I invite you to do, if you are looking for wisdom, insight, guidance in the realms of spirituality and tapping into that power within you, understanding the connection between yourself and God, if you are looking for more fulfillment, understanding happiness and gratitude and all those things, and you even want to master conscious manifestation, then start with yourself, recognizing that yes, you can gather and gain these tools and this wisdom all on your own. It is possible. You do not need a book. You do not need a teacher. You do not need to watch videos. You do not need to listen to an audiobook. You do not need to go to church. You do not need to go to a lecture or a seminar. You can do it all within yourself because it is all there anyway. All of that wisdom is part of your consciousness. It is in your DNA, all right? It is in your body. When you take care of your body, when you acknowledge things like the chakras, when you acknowledge things like diet, those things open up portals of wisdom for you to tap into to really recognize that divinity that is you. So you have to be mindful about that. Now, with that said, if you, yes, want to expedite the process, okay, then there's nothing wrong with seeking a teacher. Now, here's the thing with the world now. There is so much knowledge available and everybody is sharing. And this is a beautiful thing. We're all sharing our knowledge, our expertise, our experiences, our journeys. All right. And that is very important to see because that allows you the space to be able to do that for yourself. We're elevating the level of consciousness of the entire world and universe by sharing with one another. We're essentially becoming one mind. We're already one mind. And we can already tap into communicating to each other, right, telepathically. But we're doing it in a way that kind of models what we already have access to, but is more like a physical thing, right, where we kind of think we need something in order to do it. Like, I need this camera, we need the internet in order to sync minds, in order to share information, ideas, content, emotions, experiences. We can really do that on a very spiritual level, but this is something that we feel is easier for us to do, right? So anyway, that being said, recognize that yes, you have all of it within you, but you would like to have some guidance and support in tapping into that. There's nothing wrong with that as well, right? I don't say one or the other. I always say both. How do we get both? Because the universe is abundant. You are an abundant individual. So you can get both. All right. Never feel like you have to pick one or the other. So with that, this is my recommendations with finding a spiritual teacher, because again, there is so much information out there. And the reason why we often feel overwhelmed, we often feel lost with what it is that we are consuming is because our consumption isn't focused. You see, our consumption is all over the place, coming from so many different places, sources, and people. And so, you think back in the day when people would find a teacher, they would seek out a teacher. They would ask that teacher if they can be their student, right? The teacher would test them and do certain things, ask them certain questions, accept them. And that student will follow that teacher indefinitely for a couple of years or for their entire life. All right. Now, if that student got what they wanted to get from that teacher, or if that teacher recognized the student has even, received all the information that they need, like if the teacher recognizes the student and says, okay, you are now a master at this. You do not need my teachings anymore. Or the student surpasses the teacher, right? Then that student may look for another teacher, right? That student may look to level up to another teacher and find another teacher to get more wisdom, or maybe a different theory or methodology or way of thinking, you see? So the point I'm trying to get at is, back in those days, a student didn't hop from teacher to teacher every single day to gain knowledge. A student didn't say, I'm gonna go to this teacher Monday, I'm gonna go to this other teacher on Tuesday, I'm gonna go to the teacher on the mountain on Wednesday, I'm gonna go to the teacher on the river on Thursday, and that's how I'm gonna do it. They didn't do it that way. Why? Because the information is too dispersed and all over the place. You have no time to focus in on the education that is given to you. So what is recommended is that if you are buying a spiritual book from somebody, right, look to buy and read as many of those books from that same author as possible. Look to consume as many of those videos or audios from that same teacher as possible. Back to back. Don't hop from one to the other. Okay? Now, that may sound extreme, but you can kind of throw out a wide net, and then you can see, okay, who resonates with me the most? Because that's sometimes what I do. Sometimes I'll just kind of like, okay, who resonates with me right now that I feel like is at another place where I can learn from what they're saying. And I'll throw out that net. And a lot of times I'll find people who are saying the same things I'm saying. So they're on the same level I'm at, right? They're on the same vibration. And that feels good too, because that gives me some validation, right? Because it's like, okay, they're saying exactly what I'm saying. They have an understanding like I have this understanding, you know. But then there are people who are above that. It's just like, oh, this person's on another level. I never thought about it this way, or I never thought about it that way. So let me go deep into their thinking, their teachings. Okay. And so I'll deep dive. I'll spend months focused in on what that person is teaching. I'll consume their stuff every day if it's available. I'll read as many books or listen to as many books of theirs as I possibly can. And then I'll get to a point where it's like, okay, I got it. And then I'll go into another. Okay. So what I'm getting at is, if you're feeling somewhat scattered or you're not feeling anchored in your spiritual journey, finding a spiritual teacher is very important, but you must be focused in on that teacher and their teachings. So you can get a full grasp of understanding, okay, this is what they teach. This is what works for me about what they're teaching. This is what doesn't work for me. And then you can move on, you see. But if you're grasping from everybody on the topic of manifestation, you're going to be confused, because mostly everybody generally is saying the same thing. But when you go deep into it and they're giving you advanced techniques, they're going to say contradictory things. But see, and people get confused by that, and they say, oh, this is woo-woo, this doesn't work, because everybody's saying different things. When in reality, they are saying different things, but just because it's different doesn't mean that they all don't work. It doesn't mean that one person works more than the other. The thing is, when you apply their fundamental teachings in the same direction with their advanced teachings, right? Because you've been studying them for a while, then you have a grasp of an understanding as to why they teach what they teach. Then you are dialed in, you are focused, you are at the vibration of their teachings, and therefore that will likely work for you. But if you're all over the place, you're going to basically create confusion within yourself, because you're new, you're still advancing, you're growing, you're acknowledging this wisdom and knowing something is known. You're like, there's a knowing within you that's like, this is it, but you're still new, right? So you're all over the place, grasping at all these different things, and you're just being confused more. Whereas it's just better to, if you're going to study Christianity, study as much as you can. Then go into Islam, study as much as you can. Then, Judaism, go in as much as you can. I know the order is off. I think it should be Judaism, Christianity, Islam, right? Then you can go outside of the, Abrahamic religions, and then go into Buddhism, Hinduism. You can go all those different things, but try to stay in the same space or teachings for as long as you can till you got a good grasp of it. Just like with any teacher, right? Find your teacher that resonates with you at the moment. Go deep with that teacher, right? Read their stuff. Buy their courses if they have any. Support them. Dial in with that teacher, okay? At some point, you may feel like, okay, I get what they're saying, right? Because generally, we're all saying, like individually, we're saying the same thing over and over again. Like I'm saying the same thing over and over again. Now, I apply it to many and all aspects of life. And I am evolving, right? And I seek to continue to evolve. But there may come a time where you grasp and say, okay, this is Peter's thing. This is what he teaches, right? This is Dr. Abundant's thing. This is what he teaches. And you may come to a point where you've evolved past that. You have your own kind of theory, your own kind of methodology, your own techniques. And you're like, okay, cool. Peter's the guy for this. So you can even recommend people to me, or you could recommend people to other people depending on who they are, you see? So the point is, stay focused on a particular, teacher, whether it is nature, whether it is just spending time with yourself, communicating with yourself, asking yourself the questions, right? Really contemplating those questions and then, coming up, allowing the answers to simply come to you. Or you can find a teacher and just stay focused on those teachings for some time until your spirit, your intuition is telling you now it is time to move on to a new teacher, you see? So I want you to really understand the importance of that, because nowadays, like I said, there's so much going on. We go to YouTube or we go to Amazon, we look for a book, we look for a video, we find that book video thinking that is it. Really, that only scratches the surface of that topic. Some people will go deep diving into just the topic, and then they are purposely looking for random people on that topic. But if that person specializes in that topic, I recommend first going through all of their content, all of their education, right? Especially if that person resonates with you. And then if there is no more, okay, then you can move on to other people who are teaching similar things or other things altogether. All right. So that's basically the message today, is with first, again, recognizing, number one, the teacher within and the teacher outside, meaning nature, is the most amazing teacher to have. So trust your own intuition, go outside in nature more, enjoy nature, whatever that looks like. That can look like the beach. That can look like going to a Caribbean island, right? That can look like, for those people who like going skiing, that looks like going skiing, spending time in the, in a cabin, right? With off grid, just nothing, right? And just being with yourself, all right? That can be your teacher. And for many it is. But then if you want to go further and faster, okay, then get into finding a teacher for that moment in time, learn all you can from them and what they share and how they share it, and then possibly move on to another one, all right? And that will just definitely open you up. That will definitely open you up, and that will support you on your journey. So that's it today. This is a long video. I thank all of you for your support. A lot of people have been really active with the comments and really engaged and really leaving good comments. So I appreciate that. If for this next series that I'm doing, spiritual, not religious, if you have something to add as far as your journey, or you have something you want me to talk about, particularly when it comes to your journey, how to articulate the natural progression of how we go from religious to spiritual, or you want me to, you're feeling like you're at a point in that journey and you want me to mention something or talk about something or elaborate on something, feel free. Let me know in the comments. You can also find me on Instagram. That's the best place to communicate with me, is through Instagram, Dr. Abundant. DM me. I'm always checking my DMs, but I'm looking forward to continuing to share with you. This has been exciting. I can't wait to just go further and further. Me sharing with you helps me as well, because, me sharing with you brings a lot of joy to me when people comment and share their appreciation for what I'm sharing. But it also, I have to tap into another space. And so when sharing with you, me constantly doing this work allows me to really get into all aspects of who I am and face things that normally I probably wouldn't face at this stage of my life, right? And overcome and push challenges and evolve and get stronger and get more connected with myself, you know? So I appreciate you all for being a part of that, whether you know it or not. All right. So thanks again for checking out this video. Look out for the next set of videos, the next series coming out, and feel free, go down below if you want to buy a t-shirt. Check the t-shirts out. I love them. I probably design some more, but I probably won't push it. I'll probably just stay with a few staples. And, you know, once I actually get my shipment of t-shirts, I'll start rocking them and wearing them and having a good time with this process. So thanks again. Peace and abundance always. Feel free, if you haven't, go to drabundant.com, subscribe to my newsletter, get the free ebook, The Power Within, and so much more. All right. Continue to join me on this journey. Peace and abundance always.